Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK. My name is Brian. Welcome to another review. A little bit late, but this one is for the new Hop Along record, Painted Shut. Hop Along is a indie rock, indie pop band from Philadelphia. I don't believe this is their first project. I know they had an album before this, and I think they had another album before that, like years ago. But this is my very first time listening to them. I didn't really know if I should have went back and listened to their older projects, but I just stuck to this. And I was really excited because I've been hearing great things about this band. And from very first listen, I could tell why. Musically, I really enjoy what they're doing. And even vocally, I was astounded. Frances Quinlan, I believe that's how you say her name. I know I probably just butchered the shit out of it. I absolutely apologize. But her vocals are like a great mixture of sounding really beautiful and just great, but then she has these raw and rugged and honest moments. And it was such a great sort of combination throughout the album because, again, there's a lot of moments where she's sort of harmonizing and singing very beautifully, very nicely. And then there's a lot of moments where she just goes in and her voice just gets all raw, but there's so much power to it. And I think that really carried this whole album throughout. And the album itself was very consistent. It had a very particular type of tone, and then during the middle there was an acoustic track, and then there was an acoustic track sort of near the end. But for the most part, it's a bit more laid back rock, it's a little bit more punchy, drivey rock, and there's a lot of great elements that are added throughout these songs, and mainly the lyrics too, when you sort of look into them, and how there's a lot of smaller moments that aren't as, like, it's not like a lot of this stuff is normal, I guess, things you would hear from a normal type of album, that sometimes it's very general. In this, it's very particular type of moments, and it's very interesting to sort of dig through those lyrics. And at the end of the day, I feel like this album works out so well because everything on this album, musically, lyrically, and just vocally wise, I don't think really missed a beat. We get started with the knock, and it tells this really interesting story with this very driving rock force to it. And I think, again, she just sounds so great because she has a nice voice starting through the track. And then when the riffs get crazy, her voice just is straining to get those words out. And I thought that was a great way to open this album. Buddy in the Parade is another one of my favorite tracks. It sort of starts very, I guess, slow. Frances sort of, the way she sort of sings the intro with just sort of a single guitar, and it slowly builds, and then it goes into sort of a bit more up-tempo rock feel, and then sort of her last 20 seconds on this song, where again she's just sort of singing by herself with that straining vocal melody at the end. It's just so intense. But then we also get, other than some driving rock, we get some nice pianos, we get some more laid back stuff, as well as some acoustics. These happen to be my two next favorite tracks, Horseshoe Crabs, which is the one that's a little bit more laid back with those pianos, and then Happy to See Me, which is more acoustic, and something like Well Dressed, which also sort of starts acoustically, but then it builds into a little bit more guitars, and then the drums, and then the do-do-da-do. I like that little vocal part on that track as well. Texas Funeral's a great track. It's super loud, super massive. I love sort of the chorus on here when the drums get really big and she's like, this is not gonna happen to me. And then the drums sort of go with that, and the guitars too. I thought that was great. And then sort of the last 30 seconds of that track is this crazy sort of music outro before we get into another one of my favorite tracks, Powerful Man, which has some really interesting sort of riffs and strumming throughout the track. And it was sort of, again, another very interesting story to tell, much like another track on here, Waitress, which sort of chronicles Frances's daily routines working at bars or restaurants, and sort of, I guess, this story about her seeing somebody look at her and there's like a distasteful scent in the air. And I thought that was another really interesting story too to tell on here, much like a lot of these tracks on the album. But then the final track, Sister Cities, rocks out the finale. Great way to end this album. But overall, I think this was a phenomenal listen. I was not expecting this. It was so consistent. I rarely found myself bored or just not liking a track on here. Like I said, vocally and musically it was great. Lyrically, it was such a different sort of perspective in terms of other sort of lyrics or songs you'd sort of expect from maybe a group like this, and I'd honestly say definitely go check it out. It's a very short listen. It's about 39 minutes with 10 tracks, and I don't really think there's a skippable track on here. I was able to get through this whole thing very easily. I didn't necessarily find any part of it to be slow or dragging because it always introduced different things, but it also had a very nice consistent flow to it. So yeah, I'm sorry for the late review, but I'm glad that I got around to it. So if you've heard this album, what do you think of it, some of your favorite tracks, leave it in the comments below. I'm definitely going to have to go back and listen to their last album, because if this was really good, then hopefully that was really good as well. But if you guys liked, please like, and if you want to subscribe, you'll get more music reviews as well as some movie and television reviews, original stuff hopefully coming soon, and also some very raw discussions that I've been doing much more now and again, so definitely check that out. But thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into Channel BK. Peace out, guys.